Good afternoon. Sorry about the delay. Had some technical difficulties, which I did sort of expect. I'm Jacob Brier, and this is the first episode of Banter with Brier, a live stream that I'm going to be hosting periodically during this period of social distancing and the coronavirus that is really taking a toll on our community and communities throughout the world. So I'm a member of the Barrington Town Council here in Barrington, Rhode Island, and I'm coming to you from my home office where I've been working the last week or so, along with many folks doing the same. The purpose of Banter with Brier is a way for our community to come together and share an experience where we are all isolated in our own homes, in our own, locked in away from the community we have here. That's such a warm and vibrant community. And we can tend to feel like we're going through it alone, but there's something in this that's shared, and we're all doing it for one another. There's a quote that I heard read recently that really puts a good perspective that I'm going to share a little bit later on. But I wanted to first talk a little bit about this. The idea for this came about when I was discussing with some other volunteers in a group that we called the Barrington Community Action Team, where we're coming together to find ways to promote information, share information and resources to help our community and all communities combat whether it's resources to make protective masks or other personal protective equipment so that we can protect ourselves while not depleting the important resources for our healthcare workers. Those folks are all on the front lines, and we're all greatly appreciative of what they're all doing. So the Barrington Community Action Team is also working with local businesses, talking to the supermarkets about ways to protect the employees there, and also about ways to ensure protection of the community, finding groups and volunteers to help with delivering prescriptions or groceries to folks who are really taking the isolation. They're immunocompromised, or they're in an older age bracket, which is particularly susceptible to severe illness from this virus. And so on my resource page, I do have a form that folks can use if they want to learn more about the Barrington Community Action Team or to sign up to become part of it. I'm not sure if this is visible on screen, but I'm going to hold it up to the camera a little bit later on. But there's a link there where you can go, and there's a form you can submit, and somebody will contact you shortly. There are also some resources that are going to be on that page, articles that have kind of informed my thinking about how I'm approaching social distancing, how I'm approaching the information that I'm sharing with the community. I do want to first just kind of reemphasize some of the both restrictions and advice that have come down from the governor, from the federal government. So everybody who can work from home, who's able to work from home, should do so. It greatly reduces the number of people interacting interpersonally and coming in contact, which will slow the spread. And it also ensures that things at home are taken care of. Avoid crowds. I've heard numbers of 25 or fewer, 10 or fewer, really the fewest, the best. In town, we've canceled all public meetings. We're going to continue to have important municipal meetings that need to take place will happen via teleconference or web conference. Next week, there's going to be a Committee on Appropriations meeting, because even though this is all, even though we have this difficult time, we still have business as usual that needs to happen, and we have to make sure that our town has a budget for next year. And so that's going to happen via teleconference. The information about that can all be found at barrington.ri.gov. Restaurants have moved to strictly takeout or delivery service. And I was really happy to see that many Barrington restaurants had been ahead of the curve on that requirement. they were all promoting that they were offering either curbside pickup or delivery. Restaurants that normally don't have been doing delivery. I don't know if anybody's been receiving more emails than usual. I'm trying to respond favorably to them. Certainly changing around. Eating when you're home and trying to avoid the market is a bit different at this time. So those are some of the restrictions that have been put in place. And then some of the advice that I've read from different articles, and I'm sure many folks have heard them, about how to practice social distancing, and in addition to social distancing, just some of the good behaviors to take on. One of them that I haven't heard a lot of is taking off your shoes right when you come inside. Something that they've found, it seems, in both China and Italy, they've been spraying down the streets. Now, they have many more people in their cities and towns that have become infected with this virus. And they've been finding that it seems there might be transmission coming from either a sneeze or other germs land on the ground. People walk around and then it could be carried in. You're home a lot anyway, so one thing that can be done right when you're, if you have to go out, when you come in, take off your shoes. I personally always wear slippers at home anyway. I find them more comfortable, but yeah, taking off the shoes, washing your hands right away. If you are in a place where you're going to be interacting with a lot of people, particularly a lot of people who might be infected, if you're in one of those jobs, maybe not healthcare, but a job where you need to be out and interacting, if you think that you're susceptible and you can't avoid it, try to wear a mask. There are resources for either how to get them or how to make them. And one thing I've seen a lot of is, and it's particularly difficult on our teenage community, young folks who now find themselves with a lot of free time and a lot of energy that they're not expending either at school and after school sports, feeling really trapped. And so they are kind of venturing out, hanging out with friends, which, you know, as a former teenager myself, I fully understand not wanting to be cooped up and wanting to be social. But it is really critical that everybody in the community protect everybody in the community. And so anything we can do to engage folks, young and of any age, at home. This video is one way to do that for some people, but I also know that part of the Barrington Action Team, the Barrington Community Action Team, is that we are working on a TV network, if you will, probably a lot of pre-recorded things of people in our community, in our neighborhoods, sharing different information via video, maybe some Lego demonstrations or challenges, some cooking, some home fitness. We're all we're a pretty active community, and we have our Pilates studios are closed. Anytime Fitness is still open, but it's very light there. Spin studios in the area have closed. A lot of other fitness facilities have closed, and so people are finding that they're not active as much. And so maybe we can put out some videos to help with that. In addition, one of the difficult things that I read in an article yesterday is that where initially we thought with this virus, children were not getting sick, the youngest children, kids under 5 and even some infants, have been found to be getting sick. And so this is not just a situation where we are protecting our seniors, even though that alone is reason enough. But it's also important to recognize that if you don't have seniors in your life, if you're not coming into contact with folks who are in their 60s, 70s, or older, there are still reasons why it's very critical that you take the social distancing and you take the potential impact of this virus to heart and really understand that it's important to protect the whole community because everybody is susceptible. One question that I received earlier is how long this is going to go on, and honestly, we don't know. We've seen that areas of China are apparently getting back to work as normal, although the photos looked quite different than work as normal. Everybody seemed to be wearing masks, and there were still many cases. I think they just recently had their first day of no new domestic cases. And so they are about 2 months ahead of us. Italy, we know, is going through some very devastating times. Milan is almost completely shut down under seemingly martial law. I don't know if that's the right term for how they're doing it, but they are completely locked down, and they're a few weeks ahead of us. Hopefully, our efforts with social distancing have been productive in that hopefully we are slowing and will continue to slow the spread so that we don't have that serious overwhelming of our hospitals, which is really the purpose of the distancing, slowing the spread. We hear the term lowering the curve. We need to ensure that our hospitals can keep up with the numbers of folks who are sick and folks who need ventilators. And so we don't know how long that it'll go on. Yesterday in the press conference, the governor's press conference, she said we should be thinking we should be thinking months, not weeks. It's certainly concerning. I have an 8-year-old son, and we have switched now, or will be switching next week, to distance learning, which is seems to me, I understand it to be kind of a hybrid between homeschooling and traditional education. The educators in our terrific school system have been working very hard to deliver their curriculum, but at home, and so that's going to be an adjustment for all of us, I'm sure. Another question I received that actually doesn't relate directly to this, but was a question I received, and so I want to answer, is there's construction happening on the corner of Bay Spring and Washington Road, and somebody was curious what that is. It's going to be a mixed use building with both residential and commercial retail units. That went through the planning board process several months ago. I don't know if there will be impact from the current situation, if there's going to be impact of the timing of that construction. I actually have a question I would like to ask for everybody watching, whether they're watching live now or viewing. Would you be able to most engage with it? My plan now is the next one will be Monday afternoon at 4:30 p.m. I'm trying to hit the end of the workday rather than the end of the lunch break. And hopefully that is convenient. I encourage you to please send me a message if that's not the case. And we're going to evolve this together. I'm going to hear your feedback about things people want to hear about, and what I can do to provide value and support to folks going through this together with me. I'd like to share that quote now that I had found, and I saw this. A friend online posted this, and it's try this perspective shift. Instead of seeing social distancing and travel bans as panic, try seeing them as acts of mass cooperation intended to protect the collective whole. This plan is not about individuals going into hiding. It's a global deep breath, an agreement between humans around the planet to be still. Be still in hopes that the biggest wave can pass without engulfing too many of the vulnerable among us. That's a quote by Dr. Lindsay Jernigan. That's something that really resonated with me. I've been thinking about social distancing is really an unfortunate term for this period that we're going through, even though I've probably said it 45 times in the last 2 minutes. It's really physical distancing, and we need to find ways to remain socially connected to one another. We have an opportunity. We're spending more time with the folks in our homes than we typically do, and so we get to explore new ways of being together. And I think we don't know how long it lasts, but we do know how long we can approach it a certain way. And I think we need to uh, together find ways to, how do I want to say this? Find ways to be in the moment, looking at the larger perspective. We are taking a break from our life, and not a welcome break. It's not a break that we invited, but it's a break from the way we've been doing things for the past forever. And we can reevaluate how to go about our lives and how to be in the moment with one another. And I would like to challenge myself, and hopefully other folks will challenge themselves to try to shift their perspective on what it means to take care of our community. We're all now being asked to do something very individualistic to take care of the collective. And I think it's a really powerful moment that we have to take care of each other in that way. Very direct personal action and indirect large action. And it's different than we normally it's different than how we normally go about change. And I think it's an important exercise for all of us. And I'm going to sign off now because the governor's press conference is starting soon, or has already begun. And I think it's important to hear what she and Dr. Alexander Scott have to say. So from Barrington, Rhode Island, I'm Jacob Brier, asking you to stay well and to stay home.